Diddy be wanting to party. And you gotta tell him no. You got to tell him no. I did.
Guys, it is true. It cannot be said enough. Sometimes P. Diddy be wanting to party, and you gotta tell him no. You gotta tell him no. Okay, guys, the title of tonight's video, and I'm losing my voice a little bit, Scientology's child labor camp. In many of the videos and interviews done by former Scientologists, there's been a lot of mentions made of various Scientology child labor camps for children of Sea Org members. I think most commonly we hear about one that was located just north of Hollywood called the Pack Ranch, and there was another child labor camp called the Int Ranch. And we've heard a bunch of stories about this place. We've heard from a bunch of different now adults, but who as kids spent time at this place. But did you guys know that Scientology put up their own website documenting the affairs of this child labor camp at the Int Ranch? It's true. They did. Now, they don't call it a child labor camp. They call it Castile Canyon School. And they put up an entire website about it. And they specifically put up the website as a direct response to Jenna Miscavige's book, where she talks about having grown up at this ranch. Now, for those of you not yet familiar, the name of Jenna's book is Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology and My Harrowing Escape. You can also find Jenna Miscavige on YouTube at Jenna Miscavige. And I figured who better to join me this evening and take us on a tour of this website and explain what these photos are, who these kids are, what was really going on there, than the one and only Jenna Miscavige. Hi, Jenna.
Hello. Hi.
I forgot to bring our names up here. So there, now everyone knows who you are and they will not get us confused. All right. So what is the best way to share this website? Let's do it this way. Now, the web address for this website is CastileCanyonSchool.org. Castile spelled as you see it there. There's all sorts of photo galleries on this thing, and we are going to go through some of those. I wanted to jump to the FAQ section where I was shocked for them to see them actually admit that you and your book is the reason they put up this website. So let's take a look at this real quick. Okay, they say, let's go down. Former student Jenna Miscavige Hill claims that she had to work hard in this school. Why does she say that? I don't know. Do you want to read what they say here? Do you want me to read it?
I can read it. Jenna Miscavige Hill attended Castile Canyon School from 1990 until 1996. These facilities were nothing short of spectacular. They included classrooms, swimming pools, basketball courts, football fields, baseball diamonds, and even horse stables. Citrus orchards and organic gardens maintained by professionally trained gardeners were also provided. We pulled several photographs taken during the 1990s that are representative of how the school actually looked at the time Jenna Hill attended it almost 2 decades ago. The photos dramatically contradict Jenna's description of the conditions during the time that she attended the school. In fact, she is in one of the photos as a child. For an account of former students, how life at the school was really like, see this video in the slideshow. Do you want me to read the whole thing?
Well, let's kind of see funny. Here. Go ahead.
Jenna Miscavige left the Church of Scientology over 6 years ago and has since banded with a group of ex-Scientologists that have been expelled from church staff and the Church of Scientology for malfeasance. This group has an axe to grind with the church and is known to make up stories about their time in the Church of Scientology. Jenna Hill has broken any contact to other students since leaving the church.
Wow. Okay, so let me ask you a few questions about this. I was personally tickled that it says former student Jenna Miscavige Hill. Okay, so what do you make of them trying to actually call this entire ranch a school and calling you a student?
Yeah, I mean, they're just trying to make it sound normal. Like, in the end, we're just a group of like 85 kids or so whose parents worked at Scientology's International Management Headquarters. And we were training to be Sea Org members, which is Scientology's most dedicated group of people who work directly for Scientology. You sign 1 billion year contracts. I mean, I signed this contract when I was 7 years old, and we worked 35 hours a week. We had some schooling, but it was like kids from ages like 6 years old up till 18 years old, all in one classroom. There was no grades. I don't know a single person at the ranch who ever got a high school diploma. So it's like they're trying to make it sound like it was a school, and like, I don't know, like we're not the ones who planted all of the citrus trees or built all the buildings or painted all the buildings or, did everything that you see there, literally digging all the roads for the gardens, providing all the vegetables for the international base. So it's just like crazy that.
Did you guys consider it a school in any way?
No, I mean, we're a cadet org, so we were in training as Sea Org members. We were all going to be Sea Org members. Yeah, so we did have that sign there, the Castile Canyon School, but it was sort of like a shore story. Like, that was what we would tell people for some reason that I didn't even understand, that we were a school, but we never were.
Were you kids told to tell people it was a school if you were asked?
Well, there was never any need to tell us that because we never saw other people. Like, we were at the school, we were at the ranch all week. And the only time we weren't at the ranch was for like a few hours so on Saturday nights, we would go to our parents' apartment and we would sleep there. And like, my parents would come home at midnight, and then by 11 o'clock the next morning, my dad would be driving me back to the ranch. So we never had anyone to tell that to. We weren't anywhere.
That's right.
We weren't anywhere else. Yeah.
Well, because the ranch is out there in the desert and there's no one around. Like, there's a highway that goes through, but it's not like you weren't coming into contact with anyone who wasn't a Sea Org member or working at the cadet org or at the Intranch, right?
Exactly. I mean, like, yeah, basically, occasionally some of the Indians would stop by because the ranch was at the back of an Indian reservation. So sometimes we have
Native American.
Yeah. But I can say Indian reservation. Can't?
If you get canceled, it's not my fault.
All right.
No, they still call them Indian reservations, right? They don't call them Native American reservations.
Yeah, right.
All right. You get a pass.
Yeah. So other than that, there was really, unless you had like a couple weeks off or something, which was very, very rare. I mean, how many weeks are Sea Org members allowed off? It's 4 weeks a year, a leave of absence. So occasionally, if you had that, then I guess you would tell your grandparents or whatever that you were at school.
I see. And I had a question there, but I lost it. How many hours a day were the cadets even assigned to do schoolwork as opposed to labor?
So we did schoolwork after lunch, which started probably at about like 2. And then we did that until 6. And then after dinner, it was Scientology studies. So that wasn't schoolwork, but like, basically, if you're a religious school, you can get away with anything being considered schooling, including Scientology studies. That's how they get away with it. So when we were doing Scientology studies at night, that counted, but really there was about 4 hours of schoolwork per day.
I see. And what was the labor schedule?
So basically we did like our jobs before breakfast. And so that was from like 7 until 8:30. And then at 8:30 was breakfast. And then after breakfast, we did it from like 9 until 1. And that was when we did the labor. And then all day Saturday, we did labor. the whole day. It was Saturday renovations. And then also in the evening on Saturday too, we did white glove until 10 o'clock at night. So that's where we cleaned all of the buildings on the ranch. And we just did that until 10 o'clock at night.
Wow. Do you remember at that young age understanding what was even the point of doing any normal schooling as opposed to just doing full-time Scientology studies?
I specifically remember thinking that it was pointless. Like, of course, I had to learn how to read and write and do like some basic math. But beyond that, it was like, yeah, I'm never gonna be in that world. So this is just irrelevant. I need to know what I need to know in order to learn Scientology. And I pretty much felt like I had already learned all that before I even came to the ranch. I mean, I already knew how to read and write. But basically what it was like, was that your question? Did you say, what was it like?
No, more like, do you remember even having an understanding of why did they even bother? Because like you said, none of these kids ever get equivalency degrees or diplomas. Like, I guess I was wondering if even at that young age, did you know we have to do this because if we don't, the police are going to come and we're going to get in trouble or something like that?
Yeah. I see what you mean. No, I think it was just like, we have to learn, like even L. Ron Hubbard had said we had to learn the 3 R's. And I guess like I saw it as learning to be more literate would help me to understand more Scientology things, even if it was just the tiny bit of geography that we did or the tiny bit of this and that. It would help me. It was basically just like a step so that I could understand Scientology better and work for Scientology better.
So they did reading, writing, arithmetic. Did they do any like history or social studies or anything like that?
Well, so the thing is that like there were some courses about that, but each person had a technical individual program. It's just basically a list of courses that you do. And so it's not like we would all be learning things at the same time. So all of the learning was like in a list. Like we had our own little programs that we were supposed to do. So it was like weird. Like I learned about things like Cervantes or like the Roman Empire, but it was like, I didn't know how it all fit together. I learned about like just random stuff on my own. And it was like just totally random. And you can't ask questions in a Scientology school. Like, so in Scientology, they believe that if you don't know something, or if you don't, it's because you don't understand what you're reading, and it's because there's a word you don't understand. And they basically consider that the teacher is doing you a disservice by explaining anything to you. So if you say, I don't understand this, you basically have to find a word you don't understand. So you just wouldn't ask. You just wouldn't ask questions. And so there was just no way for me to know how everything fell in line with each other and what this all meant, or even why I was learning certain things. And I wasn't asking to clarify things.
Interesting. I remembered what the other question was that I forgot. Did you say, I've been saying Castile Canyon. Was it Castile Canyon?
Yeah, we called it Castile Canyon. Castile
Canyon. Did Scientology call it that? Did they create that name, or was it already called that when they got that property from, I think they had leased the property from the Indian reservation. Do you know?
I mean, they owned it. They definitely owned it.
Okay.
And it says in the FAQ that they sold it to the Indian reservation. So yeah, they definitely owned it. And when we first got to the ranch, I was one of the first people at the ranch. Mike Brown was there a little bit before me, but it was like basically for the RPF. There was just a bunch of RPFers working there, which is just Scientology's like, I don't know, what do you call it? Like boot camp for people who messed up.
I call it the rehabilitation and reconditioning camp. The Scientology's reconditioning labor camp for Sea Org members.
Right. Yeah. So it's just they have to wear all black. They have to run everywhere. They're not allowed to speak unless spoken to. And they are basically under full-time interrogation with a Scientology e-meter, which is a sort of lie detector. So when we first got there, the RPF was housed there. So it was a bunch of people that were in trouble. And I think at some point before that, maybe before Scientology owned it, it was like, what do you call the place where nuns are?
A convent?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
So it was a convent, huh? Out
Yeah.
in the middle of the desert. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting. I know we have limited time. I think we only have about 20 or so minutes. And we can just do another video about this later. But I wanted to, let's look at it this way. It is incredible to me that this thing repeats the same line that it says about pretty much anyone who's ever left the Sea organization. Jenna has banded with a group of ex-Scientologists that have been expelled from church staff and the Church of Scientology for malfeasance. Were you expelled from staff and Scientology for malfeasance?
Well, it doesn't say that I was. It says that I was with other people who were.
That's
Yeah.
true. I knew you were going to say that.
Yeah, but it also says that I like cut contact with other people who are at the ranch, which is ridiculous. I mean, when I left Scientology and I started basically telling my story about it, everyone who was at the ranch cut contact with me as per Scientology's disconnection policies. But they make it sound like I'm the one that did that.
Mm. Okay, there's another thing that it says here. Did the students work at the school? No, not at all. We had chores to do just like most other kids. Are they just being cute with their words here? Like, what does that mean? Who did work at the school if not the students?
I mean, what they're doing is just outright lying. We worked every day for hours. Like, so many of the things that you see in the pictures there at the ranch just weren't there when we first got there. We basically like worked every day as like a full-time job to make it look like that. So, I mean, we were organized into like, we had our own organizing board, which is like just an org chart. We were assigned to divisions. We each had our own jobs. I even brought this like little certificate from the ranch. Oh wait, this one's better. It just is once when my division got awarded Division of the Week. I was the head of Division 2, Division 1 was responsible for making sure all of the cadets were ethical and reporting on each other. Division 2 was responsible for the children. So I was responsible for making sure that the younger kids, that they did their hygiene, that they completed the projects they were supposed to. Division 3, and this is all just staffed by kids. Division 3 gave cleaning supplies out to everyone. Division 4 did grounds maintenance and construction, and did the growing of the vegetables. Division 5, which I was in at a different time, they handed out the vitamins. And Division 6, I don't know, they just if we got any reward, they would if we got rewarded for doing well, which basically meant sometimes we got to watch a movie, they would organize that. But even though in this this certificate shows I was in Division 2, that was only for an hour and a half in the morning. After breakfast until lunch, we all did grounds maintenance, we all did the gardening, and we all did construction. That was the main output of the cadet org. In Scientology, Division 4 is the production division, and that's where that was our value that we were giving to Scientology, were the things that we produced, and that was when we were doing heavy labor.
Do you know what I think they're doing there? I think they're equating if we take a prison, and you've got the prison guards and you've got the prisoners. And the prisoners might be doing all the actual work in the prison as far as mopping and sweeping. But they're like, well, only the prison guards work there. Everyone else is just doing chores.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But what's interesting is that we also did chores on top of all this. Like every morning we would also clean our rooms. We had a cleaning station in our rooms. And then after breakfast, we also had a cleaning station in the dining room. And after, like, then also kids would be assigned to do the dishes. So like we also did all the chores too. We white gloved cleaned every building on the ranch once a week until 10 o'clock at night on Saturday. So not only did we do all this labor, we also did all the chores. We also, cadets did the other cadets' laundry. So it was like we literally did everything. The adults who worked there, honestly, like they would go around and be like, Jenna, run faster. Jenna, do this. Or they would inspect our projects. And I remember being like, God, they don't even do anything. They just tell us what to do all the time. They literally didn't work. They were just there to tell us what to do.
One of the things on this website I definitely want to get to this evening is going through the photos of all these kids that Scientology posted to their website, because some of these kids are people that the audience will recognize.
Yeah.
From oh, there's Laura right there. All right, let's see if this is still the best way to view this.
Yeah, so I remember when we planted all these trees, 100 trees came in and we had to plant them all. We dug all the holes. We built these greenhouses. I helped build them.
Why is this going so fast? Let me see. If I hover my cursor over it, maybe the picture won't change. All right, let me go back to the photo that you were talking about. Stop me when we get there.
Oh, well, just this is where we planted all these trees. We planted just like a huge orchard of fruit trees. And I remember when they all came in overnight and the next morning, it was like this huge rush to plant them. We would dig the holes. We would put this little thing of, I think it was like B vitamins inside the hole. We would water it. We would backfill it. And then we would build a donut around the tree so that when the tree was watered, the water wouldn't disappear.
Who's that adult there? Or is that just an older kid?
That's an older kid. Yeah.
That's an older kid right there?
Yeah. Her name is Renee Berther. Yeah.
I'm sorry. I couldn't hear you. One more time.
Her name is Renee Berther, and she was a kid there.
Who's the younger kid in the front on the left?
In front of Renee? It's either Jordan or Jared Shimmerhorn. I'm not sure which.
Oh. And who's the even smaller kid on the far right?
I don't know. I can't really see his face.
Okay. Do you recognize any of the other two in this photo?
I think that's Trisha Norton. I think that she's in the next photo.
Okay, let's see.
That's Trisha Norton.
Is her father Ron Norton?
Yeah. And
wow.
Yeah.
What's all that white stuff? Is that to protect from bugs?
Oh, well, it's painted, and I think that's like for sun protection.
Okay, let's see. Who are these three young fine fellows?
That's Josh Gilbert and Stuart Ellis, Anthony Bolstad, and Michael Flood.
Wow.
And yeah, these I guess are pumpkins.
And by the way, what's with everyone wearing the red uniforms?
So that was our uniform. I mean, to be honest, I'm disgusted with how out uniformed these people are, because that would not have been acceptable when I was there whatsoever. Like, we had to have our shirts tucked in. We had to wear the red shirts, khaki shorts. So I have no idea what they're doing. Maybe this was, they found these ones so that they, like, where they were wearing regular clothes and they were like, oh, they look somewhat normal in this.
Do you recognize these folks?
I don't know who the one in the front is, but it's Jonathan Rodell, Sky Center, and Gayla Gualteri. But I don't know who that girl is.
It wouldn't be Emily Armstrong, right? Because she was never at the Ant Ranch. She was at the Pack Ranch.
Right. Yeah. It wouldn't be her.
Okay. I recognize both of these girls.
It's Melissa Sutter and Sasha LaPlane.
Which one is Sutter?
The one with like the smile.
Oh, and Sasha LaPlane is the one on the left.
Yeah.
The one on the right.
Don't trick
like
me with
Lindsay
left
Lohan.
and right. It's the me a while.
Does the one on the right not look like a young Lindsay Lohan?
Yeah, she kind of does.
Oh, is that also Sutter again?
Yeah, that's Melissa. I don't know. I can't
Okay.
really tell who that other person is, though. It could be Michelle Deleonibus, but I'm not sure. I can't really tell.
Okay. Oh, Lord. Is one of these you?
No, I think they think it is, but it's not.
Yeah, I think they think it is as well.
Yeah, that's not me.
Okay, so who's the creepy looking adult in the back?
Her name is Jane Thompson, and she was one of the adults at the ranch.
Was she nice?
She was nice somewhat. She was one of the nicer ones. I remember early on, she would play her guitar in our room at night.
That's nice. Okay, so what is going on? Is this an actual photo shoot?
So this is at this house that's called the Campbell House, which was at the ranch, which was supposed to have all this art stuff and dance, like ballet rooms and all this stuff. But basically, we only got to go there once, and like probably where they took this photo shoot. And after that, it was basically used to house people who were in ethics trouble, like Barrett Oliver and Annie Tidman. So we were never allowed to go over there. Like basically the entire time I was there at the ranch. So they have.
Do you personally remember being at this house when this painting was taking place, but you're just not in the photo that they're, is that what's happening?
Well, I personally remember being at this house on this day. I don't think I was painting, but yeah. And then
because this little blonde girl in the front looks a lot like you.
Well, the girl in front of her, that's Ariella Coleman, and she's my same age, and I'm not that much littler than her.
I just think that the back of this girl's head looks exactly like you, but you're sure that's not you?
I mean, that blonde hair?
Yeah, blonde. Definitely not brown hair.
It's not me.
I'll take your word for it.
Maybe if it was brown, you would think it was me.
Okay, why were they doing these weird photos with all of these kids on this day? It's not like they were planning on making a website 15 years later. What the hell were they doing?
So a lot of these photos, what I think that they are is when we would do our labor, we would have projects, and each project step completion was a statistic. And in order to have a project be done, they would have to do compliance reports. And so the completion of the renovations of this building was probably had a compliance report written with it. And with a compliance report, you have to submit evidence. And that's why they take photos.
Oh, so they're showing the functionality and usage of each room, that each room is functional.
Yeah.
What was the significance of putting all the kids in red?
Well, that was just our uniform color.
There's no special meaning to the red. I'm just wondering.
Not that I know of. I mean, yeah, we had I guess the sweatpants were supposed to be if we were doing PE, but basically they just gave us uniforms at the beginning, and then we all slowly grew out of them, and we tried to wear so some of us would be wearing sweatpants, some of us would be wearing shorts.
I see. So do you recognize these two?
Yeah, it's Heather Ashworth and Carrie Stanton.
That's Carrie Stanton.
Yeah.
Carrie and I grew up in Philly together. Her parents were, I want to say, Jack Stanton. And what was the mom's name?
I don't know.
But anyway, yeah, so her mom went up to the International Management Executive Committee or the Watchdog Committee. And so Carrie just disappeared. She was one of the kids who was in the Philadelphia nursery with us all the time at the Philly org. And she basically disappeared because she went up lines with her mom. And I never saw her again. And I always wondered what happened to her. I can't believe I'm blanking on her mom's name. Anyone in the live chat who knows Jack Stanton's wife? That's right, because your dad was good friends with Jack Stanton.
Oh, I don't know. I believe you.
Yeah. Okay, so that's the same two girls there. This must show that you kids lived a life of entertainment and activity and play and luxury. What was that? Was there actually a pool there?
There was, yeah. That's Laura's sister, by the way.
Wait, which one? On the left or the right?
Oh God.
Okay,
On
in
right.
the purple or the black?
The black.
I know you grew up in a cult and you didn't go to school, okay? But left is no. Okay.
In the black. Yeah, we very occasionally got to go in the swimming pool, but like there was like when we were all doing heavy labor, it would be one person's job to clean the swimming pool, and we were all like wanted that job so bad because we were like they basically get to go swimming all day. It was such a farce. Like I never ever got that job once the entire time I was at the ranch.
Wasn't that Sterling's job at Golden Air Productions?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Or he would like do something with the peacocks. I don't know what. That sounded weird. I think
he got in trouble for doing those things with those peacocks. Okay. All right. We're just going to leave it at that. Okay. So again, you think this was probably for a compliance report because this is so unusual to just have a photo of cadets having fun in a pool. It's like unheard of.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay, so what's the deal with the horses?
So the horse corral here, we would shovel the horse shit every week. I only rode those horses once. One of those horses kicked me in the ass while I was shoveling his shit. And that's literally the only interaction we had with those horses. People at the base like own those horses or something. I don't know. Only one time when I had a day off, we rode one of the horses, the one with the black tail, that's Flash Dance. And the other one, that's either Jackie or Loretta, which is weird because Loretta's my grandma's name. I don't know why the horse had to have my grandma's name, but
because I bet your grandpa named it.
Anyways, yeah. So you see a horse corral. I see the place where I shoveled horse shit every week. And at least it wasn't going.
Well, you might have answered this, but I'm thinking to myself, it costs money to maintain horses. Like, why were the horses even there? I mean, you said they were owned by some of the INT staff, so that might be an answer. But is there any other answer? Like, why did they even bother having horses there?
I really honestly don't know. I mean, the horses didn't do anything. Like, it's not like we were using them to like do some of our work. Like maybe if the horses could have carried some of those rocks, I would have liked them better.
So you guys did not get to ride the horses?
I mean, I did once the entire time that I was there.
And what about the other kids? I mean, so it wasn't like the reason the horses are there is because we like to teach kids to ride horses?
No, I never once learned how to ride the horse. I just, on the day that I was riding the horse, I rode on the back like somebody else was on the horse with me. So we never got like horse riding lessons or anything like that. Like,
wow.
There were some chickens there. Like we would feed the chickens, clean the coop. There was like a goat, but we didn't like, we did like use the eggs, and those were supposed to go to the base to go to my uncle. And then once I stole them and I tried to hatch them, and then they made me write a confession letter to him that I was the one who was responsible for stealing the eggs. I tried to hatch them in my drawer.
So you're the reason the room just stank of rotten eggs?
Well, I think they found them like 1 second later, but it was kind of a stupid plan. I mean, when they would do birthing inspections, which was every morning, they would look inside the drawers to make sure inside the drawers were neat. And I would often get in trouble because I had a very hard time, more than anyone else that I am aware of keeping my drawers neat. So they found the stash.
They're like, here's Jenna's candy wrappers, and what the hell are these eggs doing here?
Aaron, there was no sugar allowed at the ranch. There were no candy wrappers whatsoever.
Look at this. Steve goes, I took eggs from my mom's fridge and I tried to hatch them in my drawer too. Oh my my goodness. Okay, I know we are running a little short on time, but let's do as much of this as we can. Just let me know when you got to bail, and we'll bail.
Okay. I will.
Okay, so here they are making it look like that horse was there for a reason.
Yeah, that's the
This
one
is
that
just
kicked me. That's Sherry. That's that horse's name. That's the one that kicked me.
That bitch. So this is the photo they took just before this kid was assigned to shovel all the shit.
Yeah.
So wait, so there was a horse named Sherry, huh? I wonder who that was named after. Oh my God, look, this proves you are a liar. These kids are riding these horses. What is happening here?
I don't know. I really don't know. That must have been
But
after I left.
Or
I mean, they're wearing
honestly,
regular clothes too. So that's,
I mean, it clearly is a photo op.
yeah. I mean, the day that I got to ride the horse was a Libs day, which is Liberty, which is basically the day off that you get, which you can only have once every other week. And you have to get like a request approved by like 85 people. And there's never enough time for it to really go through all 85 people. Anyways, so like when I had a day off and then I spent it at the ranch and I just like, it wasn't with my parents. I watched a movie in a room and then I got to ride the horse. So that's what's happening with them.
I'm not sure what this photo is supposed to show, but do you know who this is? Is it the same girl in the other photo we couldn't recognize?
Well, it's Ariella. Yeah. And all I see in that photo is the creek where we got all the rocks from. And we would haul them from there to build all the rock walls you can see in all the other photos.
I forgot to ask you who these kids are.
That's Jonathan Rodill, Vanessa Delderfield, Kim Alcock, and Alex Nunn, and Kim Radstrom.
That is Alex Nunn?
Yeah.
Wow.
He's in another photo too.
Okay. Yeah, later I knew Alex. Well, first of all, I knew his mom Bernadette at Flag, but then I knew Alex from LA later. Okay. Oh my goodness. So you're telling me that's not a teacher, that is a student.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay. Is that Sherry that she's on?
That's Flashdance. The one in the back is Sherry.
Okay. Who's the young girl there?
That's Maggie Truax, but she's older than me. So this is a really old photo.
Oh, wow. Can you tell that person is in the background? It's pretty hard to see.
Can you zoom in?
I actually can't zoom anymore on these.
Oh, okay.
That's okay.
I don't know.
Who's this?
That's Stuart Ellis.
Mike Ellis's son?
No, but Stuart Ellis was in security at PAC around the time when you were there.
Oh, okay. Okay, that's the same person from a previous photo, I think.
Yeah, that's Sasha LaPlane. And so we would just all sit at tables like that. Like we didn't have individual desks. And we would have just like checklists of things that we were supposed to, it was like, read this, demonstrate this, write an essay about this. So that's Trisha Norton and Ben Weber. And that is the North Garden. And just any garden you see, we dug all the rows for it. We put in all the irrigation, all the T-tape. I mean, that's how I learned to create my flower farm that I have here. Everything that I learned at the ranch.
Learn your life skills at Scientology's child labor camp.
Yes, and do labor for the rest of your life.
Is that Ben Francis?
That's Sam.
In the back?
Yeah.
Sorry, Sam.
Yeah. And Darren Bolstad.
Oh, that's Maureen's brother?
I think she was married to his dad's brother.
Oh. Okay. Is this one of the Schermerhorns?
Yeah. I don't know which one because they came after I was there.
You know, like, one of them died.
No, I didn't know that. Oh, really?
One of them died.
Oh, I had no idea.
Who's this?
That's Gala Gualteri.
Okay. And who's that?
His name is Stefan. I forget his last name.
Okay. Is that Laura FM?
Yeah, that's Laura and Alex Nunn. And I actually don't know who that person in the front is. But yeah, that's Laura.
Okay.
So just another person who was at the ranch who has spoken publicly about how abusive it was to kids.
What are they? Breaking up garlic cloves?
Yeah, it looks like it.
Hmm. Is that a Schermerhorn there, or is that the other?
No, that's one of them, yeah. And so like the rows, like you see how there's rows and then there's mounds, we dug those by hand when I was there. Like we didn't use a tractor. They later had a tractor, but we dug the rows by hand with shovels as kids.
Wow.
So like the work that he's doing, like with like a little hoe and like picking stuff, like that's easy. It's when you're like digging rows by hand and like trenches and stuff. That's like, I feel like there was a lot of that when I was there. And later they were like picking a bunch of fruits and vegetables.
Wow. And so, you know, just for the readers who may not already know, when you say when you left there, it's not like you went from there to leaving Scientology. You then spent many, many years working at in the Sea Org bases in Florida and California.
That's right.
So even some of these other kids who were there longer than you at the ranch, did you then see them later on in the Sea Org, either in Florida or Los Angeles?
Yeah, and so many of them actually weren't there longer than me. They got there later than me. But yeah, so I left when I was 12 years old. So I was there from when I was 6 years old until I was 12 years old. And then I went to Clearwater. And just keep in mind, none of these kids at the ranch live in a home with their parents. They don't live in a home. Like, so they never get that experience to actually live in a home with their parents. And then I moved to Clearwater when I was 12. Because Scientology wanted me to move there. So not only was I not living in a home with my parents, but I was in an entirely different state, 3,000 miles away. And so I was there in 96, but all the other kids at the ranch showed up in 1999 when the ranch was closed.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay, before we sign off, let me just remind everybody that they can find your book on Amazon at Beyond Belief, My Secret Life Inside Scientology, and My Harrowing Escape. And they can find you on YouTube at Jenna Miscavige. All right, everyone, I know you got to go, so let's just sign off, and we'll talk to you soon.
Bye.
Okay, if you want to see my rock and roll songs, click right on this guitar. And if you want to see a different one of my videos, then you could click